Okay, welcome everyone to another instance of our instructional innovation workshop. This week we will be talking about the modules feature in Canvas, and we will do that together this time with José Antonio Castellanos-Pazos, who teaches Portuguese and who is the head of the Portuguese Language Program at Columbia.
Thank you, Simon, and thank you all for being here. Just wanted to let you know that this is not very theoretical, it's more practical, and I hope that in some ways I've been using these modules for a long time, and I would like to share with you how I use them and how really makes it makes my life easier. So I and also the students' lives easier. So I hope that um, it can make your lives easier as well. Let me just share the presentation. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so thank you all again, and let me just start. So we're going to be talking about modules in Canvas, and so to me, really, modules, it really has a lot to do with organizing, and it's a really good way to organize stuff, put it all in one place where students really know what is it that they need to do for next class. So we all share with the students different types of files, and we ask of them different tasks to do before or after class. And so I think that image of that drawer, it helps, at least it helps me to understand how being disorganized, you cannot find things. And so organizing things helps. So, and I found this online, which it was for the organizing of home. And I think this can help us understand better, more than for ourselves, for the students. And really, it helps us do all of that to achieve more in less time, to gain sense of control, to stress, etc. So to me, all of this organizing really helps a lot. And you can see it in the way I organize my page. This is the front page, the home page, where my students comes into, this is a particular course. In other courses, it may have a different image, but you can see what is important for me of modules. It appears right on top. And I want the students to have access to modules as one of the first things. And that's where they're going to find out exactly what I need them to do uh, in the following class. Especially because in my case, I like to give them homework and the assignments and the readings uh, for the next class is what we're going to be seeing on the following class. So it's not like that the homework is a reflection of what we saw in that particular class. They have to do the readings and the exercises beforehand. And so that, for me, also modules helps me a lot to give them all that information. So you can see here this is a picture of how one of my modules look like. And so you can see how it is organized in such a way where I can give them instructions. And there are different components of the modules where I can include, in this case, there is a page, and there are some external URL links. And these are the instructions of what I want them to do. There are two books that I use in this particular class, In one of them, they have to do all of this, and on the other book, they have to do read these pages and do those exercises. This is another module that appears in that same class. You see here that there is more information, but again, there are always the instructions, and you can scale that information in a way that always the instructions appear as dividers. And so you can see here, they follow more or less the same structure. So they have always a page where they're going to see some of the content. I'm going to explain more about each one of those components because these are not all the components. Here they have 4 quizzes that have to do with a song and also access to an external URL where they're going to listen to a particular type of music. So what's a module? A module I used to organize the course, and I got this information from online. And so you can organize the course content by weeks, by units, by topic, whatever is the way that you like to organize the content of your courses. And so in this way, as you saw in the 2 examples I just showed you before, um, you are creating a one-directional in its linear flow of what you like to your students to do. And that's something I like very much because as I put that information in the modules, I would like the students to follow that line. That doesn't mean that they need to do it that way, but I think in that way it makes sense at the end of doing the homework. It makes sense the whole information they got. So you can see when you create a module, this is what you're going to find. Simon is going to talk more about that technical part, but this is all the different components that you're going to find in a module. An assignment, quiz, file, page, discussion, text header, external URL, and external tool. Of all of those, I use all of them, but the external tool, I really don't know what that is for. I never used it. So I think Simon can talk more about that external tool. But in many ways, all of these, the first 7, I use very much, and I use all of them. So when you create a module, this is what you're going to have access to. In some ways, I think in order to create a module, one thing that is really important is to already put in the canvas the files that you want the students to have access to. If you have those files already in the system, it makes it easier, and you will see that when Simon talks about them. So that's those are the components, and they have symbols. One for the assignment is that, for quizzes is that, that's for file, that's for a page, discussion. The text header, it doesn't have actually a symbol, but it appears always in that gray area where you can give students instructions. And finally, this is the symbol for the external URL. So then again, I created this only for this workshop. I created this module, which I named workshop, only for you to see how each one of them appear. So that you have a page, that you have a file, which in this case is a PDF file. Then you have a quiz, which I named in this case workshop, and an assignment, which in this case would be a composition, a discussion, and then a URL. And then I would like to tell you how each one of them are, how you can understand how each one of them works according to Canvas. So the module components, as you can see there, the first one is the first one that here appears in that list. It would be the assignment. And the assignment is a task to do something and potentially turn it for review, for grade, etc. So what an assignment is like a composition or an exercise of pronunciation. And this is something that is a task that the students have to do. And usually you can give feedback and you can give a review or a grade. So those would be the assignments. In terms of the quizzes, this is an assignment that can be used to challenge the students. It's like a regular quiz in class, and you can have them done in different ways. I do them usually for uh, uh, for various purposes, but in this particular class, the quizzes are for music quizzes. That those are exercises where they listen to a piece of music, and they have for each one of them, there are four different exercises that they have to do. That I'm going to show them to you later. In case of files, you have different things that can be uploaded to your course site from your computer. And in this case, we're talking about images that can be JPEGs, or it can be PDFs, or it can be Word documents. It can be a PowerPoint, all different types of files that you want your students to have access to. Either for readings, for exercises, for homework, etc. And I recommend this knowing and having all those files uploaded onto the Canvas site. That would be one of the first things that you should do, because when you are creating the module, it can direct you immediately to that part where you have all your files stored, and then you can simply link that part of the module to that file. So that's why that's the way I do it. Before I'm creating a module, I already know what the files is it that I'm going to be using. So I put them, they're already stored in the Canvas site. Um, then you have the pages, and pages, it would be a completely different type uh, of um, a workshop, uh, because in this case, you are sharing content, you are storing content within this particular component of modules. And these are resources that student can have for the course. I'm going to show you one of my pages, and you'll see that this is a completely different part of the canvas, which really requires a different workshop. But I'm going to show you how I have one of those pages for these classes. In the case of discussions, in this class, I don't have that many discussions. In my advanced course, I have more. In fact, it's more based on discussions. And this provides a way for students to have primarily text-based conversations with each other and with me. So a chat, kind of a chat that students can have among themselves or with you, or with me in this case. Um, the text header, this is, to me, it really, I like this idea of using this as a way to give instructions to the students, telling them what are the pages that they need to read, which are the exercises that they need to do in the end, and when is it that this is due, etc. All types of instructions. And each one of these instructions really can divide the module, so it makes it much easier to read the module in that linear way that the only way that you can do it, which is linear, which I think it's pretty good. And finally, the external websites, that would be the external URLs uh, that you are using only to add these websites. And you have here the option of doing it in a separate tab, or doing it within the system. Many times, if you are using websites that the system think that they're not very safe, they would let you know. And so the best way is to do this website on a separate tab. But in any way, so these are all the module components. So let me show you now. This would be that homepage for my course. And so you can see here, then again, you have the syllabus, and then you have modules. And then you can see here, this is, I have these two dividers, which are text headers. And in one is telling them, is always this first one, you have to give a title to the modules. In all my cases, I always title my modules as homework. Trabalho de casa means homework, and this would be the first, the number one, and it's due on September 10th. Well, it was due on September 10th, this particular homework. And then I have this first thing, which I give instructions for them to use this web page. This page is not a web page; it's a page from within Canvas. And so here, if you click on that page, you would see that here I have lots of content. So this would be the way you meet a person, and the dialogues that is associated with that meeting that person. And so the definite and indefinite articles, that is one thing that we're going to be covering on that class, and prepositions and articles and how they're used in Portuguese, and the use of articles with countries and cities, which is for countries it's obligatory, and for cities it's not. In any way, so they have all this information here, and also I can put within here one exercise that we're going to be doing, which is a Padlet. And so that allows for doing something within the class. So all of this information, all of this content is done within the that page. And as I said before, it would require a different workshop to show you how all of this works. And you can see here, you can put lots of different things. So you would have recordings, and so they're going to be learning the alphabet for this class. And so I have the recordings for
B, C, C cedilha, D.
So anyway, so you can see you have audio recordings. And so this would be a page for that first homework. That's on the second class. That's the second class. So if we go back to modules, let me show you one other one. You can see the modules are start becoming more full. And so you can see here is the same thing. This would be the third homework for September 17th. And again, you can use these text headers as dividers, and it shows you more or less the sequence that you want the students to follow. So it always appears this as the page where all this information, which is already in the other two books that they're reading, but that here is more summarized, and it can be shown in color, which in one of my books is only in black and white. So this would allow me, so I can have them learn vocabulary. And then again, here are the vocabulary in Portuguese, and because this is a Portuguese for Spanish speakers course, so you can have it in Portuguese, in Spanish, and in English. And I also give them a pronunciation of all the words.
Os cursos e as profissões, a arquitetura, a arte, a biologia, a física, a química, o direito.
Anyway, I truly don't like to hear myself talking, but in any type of recording. Here is one other exercise of vocabulary that they need to learn, also with the recording, and some pronunciation exercises. Anyway, so this would be another type of page. And in terms of, and you can see these text headers that serve as dividers. They give instructions, and these other two text headers give the instructions on the pages and the exercises that they need to do in each one of the books that we use in class. One is called Apostila, and the other one is called Gramática Básica, basic grammar. So you can see here, there are some quizzes. Same thing. You see that there is a page for each one of my classes. I create a page. And so this particular quiz, if you see here, it had, fortunately, I had some money the university gave me in order to redo this course, and I was able to have all these quizzes made. And so you can see here is a good way for them to get images related to vocabulary. And so that would be a quiz. And the other quizzes that are very common on my, are these that usually appear in a set of 4 quizzes, and they are related to music. In this whole course, the students listen to 9 pieces of music. And so here you have the preview. In the first part, they're gonna only listen to the music and then identify some words. Okay. And there are for each one of the songs, there are 4 different types of exercises. One is related to pronunciation. The other one is relating to comprehension. So it's always pronunciation, comprehension, application, and the extension would be an extension on doing something with that same material that they learned from that particular song. And here you have, for example, in this case, the music was Você Não Entende Nada, and I gave them a URL where they can see this music sung by the author of the song. Unfortunately, in this case, the song is not as good, but there are other ones that are very good. Let me see if I'm missing something here. So I show you the URL, pages, text headers, quizzes, and I'm missing here, assignments. So as I said before, in assignments, there is a task where you are asking the students to do something. And in my case, I use this assignment component of the modules to ask them to write compositions and to do pronunciation exercises. In this case, there is pronunciation. So I give them an example of how they have to pronounce all of these words. and they have to produce a recording where they are going to send me this recording within Canvas, repeating the pronunciation of all these words, where they're using open and closed vowels, which is something particular for this class, especially for Spanish speakers. So I think I have covered everything. So that's about it. So thanks a lot. And questions?
I think we can leave the questions for the end
Okay.
of the workshop. Thank you, José Antonio. Unless there's something like incredibly pressing right now that I absolutely cannot wait for another 15 and 20 minutes. It doesn't appear to be the case. That's great. Okay, thank you, José Antonio. So what we have seen, we have just seen was how modules could figure in a curriculum as an organizing tool. So José Antonio showed us some of the activities that could be included in the modules that modules could facilitate. Mention how modules can be used to streamline the course content. What I will do is with my presentation, which I will share with you right now. Just share the screen here. Okay. And everybody should have access to the PDF version of it. I will focus on a more sort of technical dimension of modules, and to that end, I will go over how to instantiate a module, how to, in other words, set it up as a framework for a course or a portion of the course, and how to then start populating it with content. And as José Antonio already mentioned, there are different types of content that we can use. They're all listed here. We will see how each different type of content works within modules and what we can do with it. Important thing to note here is that we are not going to be getting into the details of assignments, quizzes, files, so on and so forth. Each of these could easily be its own workshop. And in fact, in the future, we will have, next week already, we will have a separate workshop just on quizzes. So in terms of adding content, we will cover those elements, and then we will move over to some of the tips on how to polish your design, your modules design, how to make it visually more appealing and more organized. And then we'll also finally talk a little bit about the control flow. So how to lock the modules, how to unlock them, and then how to structure them in a way so that they are revealed as your students move through the sequence. So with that, having said that, with a preface, let me move over to our course shell in Canvas. Many of you who have participated in the previous workshops are familiar with it. This is the sandbox, and the main homepage right now is just a page. It doesn't really display much besides this little blurb. So since we are talking about modules today, let us jump right into it. And this is the modules tab. Right now, there is nothing in it. So let us create something. Let us create a new module. We can do it either from here or by clicking this plus button right there. Let us, I don't know, name it midterm week. Seems appropriate, and we don't need to worry about anything else at this point. And there you go. There's our module framework. This is our module shell. It's already there. A couple things to point out. You will see that on the right-hand side, there are a few icons. We do have the publish button, which does what it says. There's a little plus button, which we'll take a look in a second. It allows us to just populate this module with content. And then we have this vertical ellipsis symbol, which is actually called the kebab. That allows us to manipulate the module. So we will look at that as well separately. So let us add something.
Could you make the fonts larger, please?
I'm sorry?
Could you make the fonts larger?
The fonts larger? Yes, I can certainly do that. Just, is this good?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Should I make it larger, or this is fine?
Well, it's up to you. If you want to go larger, that'll be good too.
Yeah, can you make it just a little bit bigger? Because it's still there we go. That's better.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, let me know if there's anything you can't see. Perfect. Okay, great. So we have this module here, right? It is bare bones. It is empty tabula rasa. So let us add things to it. We're gonna hit the plus sign, and this is our sort of menu of from where we add various components to the module. And you may or may not remember that anything that we handle in Canvas that can be graded is considered an assignment, right? So this is our kind of kitchen sink category where our quizzes go, our assignments, our discussions, so on and so forth. Our attendance will also be an assignment. So just by way of a review, we will select an assignment, and here in the dialog box, there you will see that there's various different assignments that are already in the system that I have used for prior presentations. So I will just choose one of them, and the one that I will choose that seems particularly appropriate for a first activity will be a warm-up. So let me just add it, and there it is. Okay, it's already sitting there. Well, obviously we don't want just one assignment per module. Let's add another one maybe. And after doing a warm-up, maybe I will want my students to do a quiz. And I do have a syllabus quiz that already developed. So I'm going to go ahead and add that too. And you will see that as I am adding these things, a couple things are happening. The new elements are added at the bottom, which doesn't make much of a difference if there's only 2 elements, of course. But as you build out your modules, you gotta make sure, you gotta remember that everything is going to be at the bottom. And then you will see that these components, these activities are already published, right? We can mouse over the green check here, which indicates that things are published. And if we want to unpublish them, we of course tell the computer to do so. So, all right, well, we do have our module. We do have our couple activities that populated. So let us see what it looks like from the student's point of view, okay? So I'm going to switch over to the student view. And here we are. And okay, and the module tab is not here. Okay, it is nowhere to be seen. And that is actually deliberate. And the answer, let's leave the student view. The explanation for why that is because if we go back to the modules, we will see that the module itself is still unpublished. So we got to make sure that even though it is, as we populate our modules with activities, and even though these activities may be active, they may be published, unless the module itself is published, nothing will show. So let us go ahead and publish it by checking this box here. And now go back to our student view. Okay, still not here. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to refresh it. Okay. so that is published. That is reset.
Can I say
Okay.
something?
There appears to be some sort of the glitch. Because normally once you have a module that is published, it should appear under the modules. So not really.
You have to, yeah, to click there in modules, no?
No, it's not in modules. You have to do it in settings.
Oh, okay.
Instead, it has to appear in the applications that you have selected that you can be viewed. Yeah, you're right. You have to move them to the app, yeah.
No, it's right here.
It's
Oh,
right
it's there.
Yeah, it's showing. See, that's why I'm thinking that it's it may be a glitch of sorts. Oh, but that's
Oh, it's
okay. You know,
weird.
it's fine.
Refresh.
I only tried that. You know, that is okay. And like I said, I'm not gonna invest time into going to the bottom of this because there's a couple other things I want to show you. But once we have published the module, the modules tab will appear, and all the activities within the module will also be revealed. Okay, so we're working with this module, we're developing it. Let us add maybe one more thing to it. And going down the list, we have our next category of content is a file. So once we select it, what the system will show us are the files that are already pre-uploaded to Canvas, something that we may have uploaded in the past. Right now, I don't really see anything here that I would want to stick into my module, so I'm just gonna tell the system that I want a new file, and I will choose one from my computer. And I do have a little syllabus file that I would like to share with my students. So I will throw it right there and add the item. Okay, and there it is. And perhaps I would like to maybe put it on top of the module as the first thing that students have access to. It is really easy to move around. You know, there it is. Okay, and let's continue to develop. Let us maybe now add a discussion. And I don't really have a good discussion here. So I'm going to create a new one. And and let's say that I'm interested in, why did you decide to take this course? So this is what I would like my students to discuss. I'm going to go ahead and edit it. And lo and behold, it is already also in the module. Now you will notice that it is not published, and that is by design. We do need to do some editing ideally before we publish it. One way to do would be to click on it, or we can click the kebab icon and okay. Now we can edit from here, and let's say that I want to fill this in. Describe in a few words what you hope to take away from this course. Okay. And I will allow threads. I will tell you it will not be graded, but I will allow liking, and students will have to do it. And we can make it available from until, so let's just do today until tomorrow. Okay, and I'm gonna save and publish this. And there we go. Now, an interesting thing happened here, namely, you will notice that we are no longer in the modules here, right? We're editing from the discussions. By the way, I think modules just published itself since the crossed eye icon is no longer present. So it did process, which is good. But anyway, we're back and we're editing from the discussions menu, which could be confusing, but it is actually is actually good news because that indicates that any kind of content that we are including in our modules that has its own separate tab, because the modules tab gives us access to it, we could conceivably remove these redundant tabs. We can hide them if this is something that we are interested in doing, right? So let's go to the settings and maybe demonstrate that. So we know that we have access to the discussions. We do have access to assignments, or maybe we want to leave assignments for our students. Maybe we want to hide pages, files, and let's say quizzes. And I'm gonna save this new ordering and go to student view. And now modules appear here. Nothing else is visible on the side, which is okay, because what we want to do with our modules, we want to streamline everything, right? And so you will see that there's the discussion topic here. If we click on it, it is available to us as a discussion component, but it does not take us to a discussion tab anymore. So that's something to keep in mind if we want to, further sort of distill and streamline our online course structure. Okay. What I will do now is leave the student view. Okay. Now, in an effort to maybe make things even more transparent for our students who coming into this online setting, this online environment, are kind of expecting things to be pretty straightforward, we may want to make sure that the modules, like the very first thing that they see. So right now it is a page. Let us go ahead and select a different home page and indeed make it the modules. Okay. So now this looks pretty good. Let me go back to the modules real quick and maybe add a couple more things. So as José Antonio mentioned, we can also add an external URL, which is very useful because that allows us to sort of link various documents, various online pages into Canvas. What I will maybe link here is a tablet, or sorry, Padlet. So here's the link, and this is not a very useful Padlet, but that's okay because just for the purpose of this presentation, we will have it, and we'll just go ahead and add that and publish it, of course. And now let us go back to the home page here, which by now should display our module and see from student view how it renders. So if you click on this link, what's going to happen is that it will open the content of the page already within Canvas, which is very useful and very convenient if you're dealing with things like Padlet, which many of us are working with, but also other multimedia tools, or even static web pages, ebooks, things like that. It is worthwhile, it's worth to consider adding them as a component of the module in that way, so that students can kind of stay within Canvas and deal with a page that's already neatly packaged and rendered for them in this environment. Okay. From what I remember, there was also, moving back to our modules, let me just leave the student view here. Okay. There was another external thing that we could add to our modules, and it's an external tool. Now, chances are that you will not be using it, Any external tool will have to be a third-party application that is integrated by the admin, which for us is CUIT, into the system first. So, you know, you may run into things like Flipgrid that is available for Canvas, or, you know, Linked being available for Canvas, and various other applications, which theoretically you could link it. You could link it as an external tool, but because of how it must go through CUIT for us first, that's just not something that we need to necessarily worry about. So I'm gonna cancel and quit, and this is it. I mean, at this point, we already have our module for the midterm week. Let's just go back to the student view. This is how it's going to look for our students. But, you know, maybe let's work on it a little bit more. Let's try to make it even more intuitive and more streamlined. So what we could do here, let me just go back to the modules, is we could accomplish that by using text headers. So let's say that my course meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I want to make sure that students have access to these activities in this specific order, but I also want to sort of make sure that it is clear what's under what. So I'm going to go ahead and indent this and this and this, sort of move it to the right. And you can indent as many times as you want. You can have this kind of directory structure if you want to do that too. Okay, this looks pretty good. And in interest of time, let me also really quickly talk about another interesting feature, which has to deal with the control flow through the course. So to do that, I'm going to really quickly create another module, which I will name post midterm week. And I'm going to add it. Okay. And here I'm going to click on the kebab. And I think at first I'll need to, I'm going to go ahead and publish it. I'm going to go ahead and add it. Great. So there are two things that are of note. One is that we can lock this module, we can lock this post-midterm week at a specific date so that it becomes exposed, it's revealed to our students on a specific date. Or we can add a prerequisite, which could be, let's say that the midterm week module needs to be completed before students get access to the post midterm week, you know, and that way we have an even tighter degree of control over the material that our students have access to. And then if we want to make it even more granular, we can, well, right now I don't have any items in my post midterm week, but we can select the various items that our students then have access to based on the prerequisites. I'm going to go ahead and update the module right now and continue. And just one last time, see what everything looks like from the student's perspective. Okay. And it doesn't look half bad. Oh, you know, I forgot to publish the headers. Again, a lot of times if things are not showing the way they're supposed to, it's simply because they're not published. Now it should work a lot better. There we go. Now we're talking. Okay. So this pretty much concludes it. We do have a few minutes for questions. So let me move over to the chat box here and see if we can address some of what has been coming in. Amazing pages, settings, refresh. Okay, I have a class at 4 p.m. Okay, so no questions here. I'm not going to stop sharing it, but I will expand it into the gallery view. If you have any questions right now or anything that you would like to share about the modules or just in general, now is the time to do so.